ॐ अज्ञानतिमिरान्धस्य ज्ञानाञ्जनशलाकया चक्षुरुन्मीलितं येन तस्मै श्रीगुरुवे नमः। नमो विष्णुपादाय कृष्णप्रेष्ठाय भूतले श्रीमते भक्तिवेदान्तस्वामिनिति नामिने। नमस्ते सरस्वती देवे गौरवाणी प्रचारिणे निर्विशेषशून्यवादी पाश्चात्यदेशतारिणे। जय श्री कृष्ण चैतन्य प्रभु नित्यानंदा श्री अद्वैत गदाधर शिवासादि गौर भक्तवृंद हरे कृष्ण 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 हरे 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 राम 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 हरे हरे। हरे कृष्ण। So let's begin our discussion on the life lessons from Bhagavatam. We are currently discussing the Narad Vyasa Samvad, where Vyasadeva, after the compilation of all the Vedic literatures, he is still feeling despondent, incomplete, discontented with what he has done. Very imperceptibly, he is not able to pinpoint the cause of his dissatisfaction. And exactly at that point, Narad Muni, the transcendental spaceman, as if by divine arrangement, appears there exactly to help Vyasadeva out of that situation of uh, indecision and disappointment. So Narad Muni has in a way suggested to Vyasadeva that you are a very greatly learned teacher of the scriptures, and you are the compiler of all the Vedas and the Mahabharata and the Brahma Sutra. So there is nothing as such which you have left out. You have been very diligent in your work as a literature, as a literary author. But then there's one thing which you have left out. You have not sufficiently glorified the Supreme Lord. Yatha dharmadayascha munivarya anukirtita na tatha vasudevasya mahima hi anuvarnita. As much as you have glorified dharma, artha, kama, moksha, as much as you have spoken about and induced people towards the motivations of dharma, artha, kama, and moksha, you haven't given sufficient justice to the Pancham Purushartha Prema, love for the Supreme Lord. And that's what he is now going to elaborate on. He tells him, we last time discussed the must read book list of Narad Muni. Nayad Vachas Chitrapadam Harer Yasho. He's saying, do not read any book which doesn't have glories of the Supreme Lord. Must not read. And must read is any literature which has glorification of the Lord, even if composed with grammatical and other mistakes. That literature you must lap up. So we will continue from the verse number, we have done till 11th. So 12th onwards. So the verse goes as follows. नैष्कर्म्यम अपि अच्युत भाव वर्जितम न शोभते ज्ञानम अलम निरंजनम कुतः पुनः शाश्वत अभुद्र ईश्वरे न चार्पितम कर्म यदपि अकारणम. Knowledge of self-realization, even though free from all material affinity, does not look well if devoid of a conception of the infallible God. What then is the use of fruitive activities which are naturally painful from the very beginning and transient by nature, if they are not utilized for the devotional service of the Lord? So this answer of Narad Muni, he establishes the principles of what a transcendental literature should consist of, and what it should highlight, emphasize, and what it should not emphasize and highlight, and what it can just passingly mention. So he's giving certain principles. So as of now, from the verse number 8, he started giving these principles. Until the verse 22nd, he's going to give these principles. And after verse 22nd, from 23rd verse onwards, he will start speaking his own life story to give a give an example of how those principles helped him. Hmm? So right now we are currently discussing that he's saying that what kind of literature is worth discussing and reading, writing and reading. So he says that I'm not just um, I'm not just asking you to uh, minimize the literature about fruitive activities of how to get material wealth, prosperity, and resources, etc. A lot of literature of the world today, and which people are interested in, is about how I can become rich, famous, powerful. Mm. So there are so many books about rich dad, poor dad,
Psychology of money.
psychology of money, how to become rich. So there are books about these things. Then there is a book about how to win friends and influence people, how to influence others. Then the golden circle of marketing. So there are so many books which help people to increase their influence in this world. But Narad Muni is telling that not only these books which talk about fruitive activities and how you can become rich, famous, and powerful. So he said that is not the optimal way of utilizing your power of speech and power of composition. He says what we should be doing instead, and he's saying that not just that, even knowledge of self-realization, it is not a knowledge of liberation, is something which is glorified. Hmm? He said even that is incomplete if you don't glorify the Supreme Lord, which talk about the impersonal aspect of God. And overall, if you see these verses, he's essentially saying that whatever you desire to describe that is separate in vision from the Lord simply reacts with different forms, names, and results to agitate the mind as the wind agitates a boat which has no resting place. So anything which is separate from the Lord will simply agitate the mind. You need to anchor the mind. And any other topic, any other subject matter which doesn't have the the glorification of the Lord will agitate the mind rather than anchoring the mind. So that is how he is giving guideline on how it should write. Now, basically, if you look at it, what is the function of light? If I have light, it should help you see. But if there is a light which confuses you, which blinds you, then is it doing its function? No, so there are lights such as sometimes there are these flashlights. The vehicles, they give these flashlights and suddenly you get blinded, you can't see. Right? Or in you have these psychedelic lights, disco lights. Basically, they are not meant for you to see clearly. They are meant to cloud your vision. Right? So similarly, there are literatures which are meant to enlighten you, but then they end up clouding your vision. So he's saying that therefore your pen should only produce literature which will enlighten people, not cloud their vision. Don't produce the flashy subject matter of sense gratification, all the psychedelic subject matter. Yeah. Okay. Now the next theme he's talking about is त्यक्त्वा स्वधर्मं शरणां भजं हरे भजन अपको यथा पतो ततो यदि यत्र क्वा भद्रम अभूतम उससे किम को वा था आप तो भजताम स्वधर्म था. This is the 17th verse. So 17th verse onwards, he is talking about a different reason. He is giving various reasons why one should, why behind his rational, or why he is emphasizing so much on glorification of the Lord. So he is giving his rational. It's not that I am speaking something whimsically. I have reasons behind it. Why I am um, emphasizing this point that your pen should primarily be used for glorifying the Lord, hmm, and not for liberation and not for engaging people in fruitive actions. Hmm. So he starts giving various reasons. So he's saying, Tyaktva swadharmam charanambujam hare, hmm, that someone who has given his entire life for material occupations. Mhm. So there is no surety of the results of that material occupation to stay with him during this life. People, they work hard, they float companies, they become rich, but then eventually, something happens, market crashes, some technology changes, and the business which they gave their lives to build, what happens becomes obsolete. Hmm? And they go bankrupt. So he's saying that, look, you have given so much of your life's energy for something which has no surety, which has no indemnity. At any time, any change beyond your control happens, and you are just a pauper again. Hmm? So isn't it a very uh, unreasonable proposition to invest all your life's energy, endeavor, and emotions in something which can anytime be taken away from you by factors which are completely out of your control? Hmm? So if you invest in a particular share or in a particular instrument, knowing that there is a disclaimer that any time, this share can be uh, unlisted. It has been listed with a lot of pomp and glory, but then anytime it can be unlisted without notice. So death is like that. Yeah, you are listed on the list of Forbes top billionaires. Mhm. But then anytime Yamaraj unlists you from this material world. Yeah. So he's saying that it is not a very intelligent proposition to put all of your stakes in something which is not going to last forever, even in this life. Even if you don't speak about death, even in this life, the changes and the circumstances of this fast changing world are so much uh, unpredictable that you end up losing out on whatever you have invested in. And he's saying, on the other hand, if you invest in spiritual growth, which he's suggesting to Vyasdev, that rather than uh, educating people on how they can improve on their material growth, hmm, and achieve their material goals, you have given them elaborate instructions on that, the Niti Shastra, the Dharma Shastra, the Artha Shastra, all of that you have given. But those results are not going to stay with them. And whereas if you had instructed about spiritual growth is something which does not mm, uh, decay, which only increases, which only grows. So that is something which will stick with them. But then you may ask the question, what happens if a person falls down from the path of spirituality? Bhajan apakwo atho patet tatodi, with his bhajan being incomplete and mm, imperfect. If they fall down, what happens? Hmm? Just as there is risk of some market crash and losing out on your uh, stock holdings.
Mm.
Similarly, what if the market of your spiritual advancement crashes? You fall down. Hmm? Then what?
Mm.
So then he says, no, no. He says a devotee may sometimes fall down while in an immature stage, yet there is no danger of his being unsuccessful because although it's a temporary snap, hmm, it's a temporary disconnect from the path, but eventually Krishna is going to bring them back to the same point where they left.
Mm.
नेहा विक्रमनाशोस्ति प्रत्यवायो न विद्यते स्व अल्पम अपि धर्मस्य त्रायते महतो भयात्. That there's no diminution or loss on this path. So this is something which doesn't decay or decompose or disintegrate, whether in this life or next. Hmm? So whatever you have done, you are going to carry it from there only. So he's saying, therefore, you must have focused and emphasized more on spiritual growth than material growth. Therefore, your pen should have been used primarily for encouraging people for their spiritual growth or coming closer to Krishna rather than coming closer to objects of sense gratification with the elaborate rituals which you have given in the Vedic scriptures. And then he's giving an instruction, Narad, tasyaiva heto prayate to kovido nallabhyate yad brahmatam upariyada tallabhyate dukkavad anyatah sukham kalena sarvatra gavira ramhata. And therefore, for an intelligent person, kovida, vida means vigyan, knowledge. Kovida means one who is knower. So, therefore, a knower, prayate, endeavors for something which is not obtainable in the material world. Whether Brahmatam Upariyada, from the bottom of this world to the top of this world, from the beggar to the billionaire, or to Brahma. None of them possess this. So they want to aim for the rhino. So basically, they want to aim out of the world. Whatever this world can provide is, first of all, unfulfilling, and secondly, temporary. So therefore, those who are intelligent, they aim for something which is beyond this world, that is out of this world. And he's saying that the things of this world, the pleasures of this world, they will come on their own, even if you don't endeavor. Your hard work should be used for something which you cannot get ordinarily. The pleasure of this world you will anyways get out of law of karma. He's saying, this is my, take my proposition, Vyasdev. No one endeavors for distress. No one endeavors for poverty. No one endeavors for insult. Have you seen someone who willfully acts in such a way that he's insulted publicly or disgraced publicly? They don't want to, save their face, or at the least, or they want to them to be glorified. No one wants to become a beggar. Even a beggar dreams of being a billionaire. Yeah. So, but still, you find that people become poor, people become, insulted. So he's saying that just as dukkha or misery comes in your life without endeavoring, similarly, sukha will also come. It is just a cycle. Just as summer comes and then winter comes. So similarly, misery has come, happiness will come. So yes, we do our endeavors, but eventually these things are more or less predetermined. The pleasures and pains of this world are predetermined. What is not determined is your spiritual growth. If you don't work on it, you will not get it. As simple as that. Material growth is something which is dependent on your stars. आपका राशि क्या चल रहा है, आपका काल अच्छा है खराब है, तो there are factors beyond you, which will anyways bring the misery you don't want to you and the success you crave to you, with or without your endeavor. But spiritual growth is something very, very sure, that you are not going to make any spiritual advancement if you don't intentionally endeavor for it. So therefore, it is quite evident that an intelligent person will endeavor in that direction, which wholly and solely depends on him. Yeah. So in that sense, he has given two parameters, or two reasons why one should go for spiritual endeavors more than material endeavors. One is that spiritual endeavors are um, permanent and material endeavors are temporary. Material results, spiritual results are permanent and material results are temporary. This is one reason why one should invest more in material and spiritual results, right? Number two, it is spiritual results are dependent on you, especially. Material results, you hardly matter so much. You can't really, you know, kind of very much ascertain that मैंने इतना एफर्ट किया मुझे इतना रिजल्ट मिलना ही है. No, it depends on many factors beyond you. But as far as spiritual growth is concerned, if you don't work, you're not going to get it. You have to work for it. So therefore, for these two reasons, he is suggesting that an intelligent person will endeavor for spiritual growth and spiritual results. Definitely. Okay, next. Yeah, and another thing he's saying is that you will never be a loser, even if you were to compromise on your material duties, to top up on your spiritual duties. So you will not be a loser. You should rest assured. It is not that what if I am if I become spiritually more inclined, I lose out on my material goals and progress. No. First of all, your material duties will become more. You will become more responsible and you'll become more efficient in your material duties if you perform your spiritual duties well. And secondly, even if immaturely you lose out on doing some material duties, immaturely you avoid some of your material duties in the name of spirituality, still it is not so much of a loss. It is not good, but if it is not so much of a loss as compared to if you were to give up your spiritual duties in preference for material duties. So they say if for the temporary you give up the permanent, then you lose both. For the temporary, if you give up or not prioritize the permanent, then you lose both. Because temporary is anyways going to leave you, and permanent, which was supposed to be with you, you only have forsaken it. Whereas for the permanent, if you give up the temporary, then they say that a bird in hand is twice as two in the bush, right? So this is the Paramatma, the bird, who is always there with us. The Upanishads, they tell that there are these two birds sitting in the heart, the soul and the super soul. The soul is looking at the fruits. Hmm. Some fruits, they are sweet, some are bitter. So he's pecking at the fruits, and most of the fruits are bitter. Even if some of the fruit is sweet, eventually it turns sour. Hmm. Right? While definitely most of the fruits are bitter, some of the fruits which are even sweet, they end up turning sour and bitter. Hmm. So the bird, the soul, is looking at these fruits and is only interested in these fruits, and is neglecting and avoiding the bird, the Paramatma, the companion bird, the Paramatma. So a bird in hand is the Paramatma. So his world's two fruits, the two fruits of happiness and sorrow. Don't go for those fruits, go for the Paramatma. Because if you go for the Paramatma, he will anyways give you the fruits. And he will give you such sweet fruits which will never turn sour. So this is what is recommended by uh, Narad Muni here. Several reasons why he is emphasizing.
What is meant by the heart when you say the Lord is situated in the heart?
Uh, because सर्वस्य चाहं हृदि सन्निविष्टो मत्तो स्मृतिर्ज्ञानमपोहनं च वेदैश्च सर्वैरहमेव वेद्यो वेदान्तकृत् वेदविदेव चाहं. So Krishna says in the 15th chapter, 15th verse, that he is situated in the heart. So heart is a place, the residence, where the Paramatma and the Atma both reside. That's right.
But like, is it like the organ or is it like?
No, the organ is the place, but the subtle and the gross, there is no mixing of the subtle and the gross. It says oil and water, they don't mix. They are in contact. So similarly, the soul cannot be touched by matter. In that sense, it is not mixed with matter. It is there in that region. Just as there are electromagnetic waves all around you, but you can't see them, you can pass through them. Yeah. Similarly, the Atma and the Paramatma, they are there in matter, but they are not kind of bound or tied to matter. They are in the space of the heart, but they don't occupy any space in the heart. They are in the region of the heart, but they don't occupy any space. ऐसा नहीं है कि ढूंढ के निकालो अरे ये पॉइंट पे है, ये पॉइंट पे है, कहाँ पे है. That you can't do. So the idea is that you do your material duties and spiritual duties simultaneously. Then people give the excuse that, oh, I'm too busy to do it now. I'll do it later. But what happens is that people always postpone important things for later. And they say, I will do it tomorrow. But tomorrow is such a beautiful space, which holds all of your dreams and aspirations and ideals. But problem is 99% of the people don't reach that space of tomorrow because tomorrow never comes. Therefore, they say start today. And if you invest in your spiritual duties, you will become more proficient in your material duties also. Do you say, I will eat only after I pass my board exams? I'll eat only after I get a job. You have to eat to work or study so that you pass your exams and get a job. So similarly, you have to get spiritually nourished to get the strength to do your material duties and struggle with all the challenges. Yeah. So that is the recommendation of Narad Muni to Vyasa. That therefore, for people, he says that spiritual duties are more important than material duties, because spiritual duties on their own merit are important, And even for people to get material results, they need to perform their spiritual duties. So he has given these reasons, and therefore Vyasdev is supposed to write about this. Now the next thing he starts in the next section is about how people, uh, if they are given वो बोलते हैं ना, if they are given even a small gap of for sense gratification, they will bypass everything else and enter that particular thing. Hmm? So he's saying that uh, this verse, Sasyaiva heto prayeteto kovido, this we have discussed. Um, हाँ, जुगुप्सितं धर्मकृतेऽनुशासितः स्वभावरक्तस्य महान् व्यतिक्रम यद् वाक्यतो धर्म इति तरः स्थितो न मन्यते तस्य निवारणं जन. He's giving another reason why he should be careful when he writes about how to become rich, famous, powerful, successful. ये सब के टॉपिक्स का आपने ज्यादा मेंशन किया तो लोग वही पकड़ के बैठेंगे, आपका स्पिरिचुअल ज्ञान नहीं सुनेंगे. So he's saying the people in general are naturally inclined to enjoy, and you have encouraged them in that way in the name of religion. This is verily condemned and is quite unreasonable. Because they are guided under your instruction, they will accept such activities in the name of religion and will hardly care for prohibitions. So, in the name of religion, उनको क्या मिलेगा कि approved by व्यासदेव. जो कुछ भी करना है वो तो करेंगे ही, बट ऊपर से they get a stamp approved by व्यासदेव. This has been approved by Vyasdev, so therefore मैं तो धर्म का काम कर रहा हूँ. They are fulfilling their own conditioning and urges, but they will do it in the name of Vyasdev. And the example which Prabhupada gives in the purport is that of animal sacrifices. Now the Vedas, they mention about the animal sacrifices among so many other things. They mention about moksha also. They mention about your duties towards the children, women, old men. They mention all of these duties. पर उसमें वो पकड़ के एनिमल सैक्रिफाइस, अरे हाँ ये तो बढ़िया बताया, राइट. So that's what happens. The Constitution mentions rights and duties. अभी ड्यूटीज का सेक्शन तो कोई पढ़ता नहीं है, वो राइट सब निकालते हैं. मेरा क्या राइट? How I can exploit? Yeah. So they will see the duties just to impose on others. You do your duty. देखो लिखा है इधर. And for themselves they just look at the rights. So he's telling to Vyasadev that you have given them injunctions for material enjoyment, but you have given them that as uh, uh, some sort of a relaxation. That is, this is a relaxation. This is for those who cannot come to the highest standard. But then they have taken that relaxation as the highest standard. Something which was a prohibition, they took it as a prescription. That you should eat meat only on Amavasya. So उन्होंने क्या लिया? You should eat meat only on Amavasya को निकाल दिया. You should eat meat only on Amavasya after offering to Mother Kali. इसमें क्या बच गया? You should eat meat only. क्या था? You should eat meat only on Amavasya after offering to Kali and first telling in the eye of the goat, Mamsa, 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 means what I am doing to you, you will do to me in next life. I will also have the same gati. मेरे साथ भी ऐसा ही होगा, मुझे भी कोई मार देगा, जैसे मैं तुम्हें आज मार रहा हूँ. तो इतना लंबा प्रोसीजर है कि you know, eat meat only on Amavasya after offering to Kali and first chanting in Mamsa in the ears of the goat. वो सब में से केवल बच गया पहला 3 वर्ड, ईट मीट ओनली, बाकी सब ट्रंकेट. so so he's saying that people take it as a license and in the name of religion. So there are two problems. One is people get encouragement for sinful activities, and that too royally in the name of religion. तो एक तो रिलीजन का नाम भी बदनाम हो रहा है, दूसरा लोग गलत काम में लग रहे हैं. चलो गलत काम में लगे ठीक है, वो उनकी मर्जी, लेकिन रिलीजन के नाम पे, स्पिरिचुअलिटी के नाम पे, that is something which is very condemnable. That's what he is saying. And and religion is susceptible to, vulnerable to being misused the most. If some um, uh, establishment is misused the most in the world, and in the worst way, it is religion and spirituality. Because religion and spirituality, they provide you an absolute anchor. So the greatest motivation that you can ever have is that of religion and spirituality, because they anchor you to the absolute, जिसके सामने anything else in the world can be changed, modified, adjusted and given away. ठीक है, everything else becomes a secondary principle. And this, because this is absolute, it talks about absolute. Religion, any religion talks about the cause of all causes, the source of everything. So मतलब religion का मतलब भी यही है कि it has to talk about the cause of all causes. Whether you take Buddhism, Jainism, Islam, Christianity, Hinduism, whatever you take, the definition of religion is something which talks about the absolute. While we are dealing with the relative things, religion is supposed to talk about the absolute, which means that it is all encompassing. And therefore, people take it that if I am religion, if I am taking the purpose of religion for the cause of religion, everything else can be sacrificed and compromised. I don't care. Right? So it gives you that kind of a leverage. So it can motivate people to do anything. It can motivate people to for leaving behind all selfish personal considerations. So it is the greatest motivator. For two reasons. One is it is above everything else. Everything else is just a subset of religion, society, family, morality, nation. Everything else is subset because it's the cause of all causes. तो सब कुछ इसका सबसेट है. मतलब ये किया तो मुझे और किसी को के बारे में सोचने की जरूरत नहीं है. तो by default and by definition it is like that. So therefore religion can be used as a curtain or a carpet to sweep underneath everything. तो मतलब रिलीजन के नाम पे मैं कुछ भी करूं, इमोरल करूं, अनएथिकल करूं, रिलीजन के कर्टन के पीछे डाल दिया है तो इट्स सेक्रेड, इट इज जस्टिफाइड. So therefore it is unquestionable. Therefore unscrupulous elements, they utilize the most for their means and their purpose. So for the reason that it is absolute, and it can motivate you like nothing else. So what people want, they want the fuel of religion, they want the strength of religion and God, but they don't want the direction and intelligence of God. They want the strength of God, कि मैं रिलीजन के नाम पे लोगों को और मोटिवेट करूंगा, लेकिन उस रास्ते पे नहीं जिस पे भगवान चला रहे हैं, वो रास्ता जो मैं बता रहा हूँ. या In the name of God, I'll motivate people to do my propaganda or my agenda. Hmm. So therefore, Narad Muni is warning that that if you associate your works, especially because your works are Vedas, the word of God. What are Vedas? Word of God. So, अगर word of God is associated with anything mundane and uh, transient and uh, worldly, what happens? People will utilize the word of God. भगवान का शब्द है इसके लिए मैं ये कर रहा हूँ, and then it will be misused. So therefore, it is very important for preachers and presenters of spiritual knowledge to keep spirituality, you know, different box at a क्या बोलते हैं, at a space above all material considerations and um, because, as you see even in the world of psychology, trust is something which can be borrowed. So I want people to trust my product. My product is unknown, or even is has been given bad rating. If I want people to start trusting it, I have to just do a simple thing: get a brand ambassador whom people trust. है ना?
Maggie.
हाँ?
Maggie.
मैगी के कौन है?
Noodles. Called Amitabh Bachchan.
हाँ हाँ, मैगी हो, कैडबरीज हो, जिसका भी ट्रस्ट मीटर डाउन है, वो एक बड़े ब्रांड एम्बेसडर को ले आता है, एंड देन पीपल ब्लाइंडली नाउ एक्सेप्ट कि भाई तुम जो बनाते हो वो टॉप क्लास है. So that's how trust. The nature of psychology is that you you know you you invest trust in something, in someone, and whatever they propose, you will invest trust in that also. So you can, so people know that they can borrow trust. So because people have trust in brand ambassadors, they will have trust in the product. And people have absolute trust on spirituality, so they will have trust in anything which I propose in the name of spirituality. So that's how people misuse and leverage the power of religion and spirituality. So therefore, the maximum violence has taken place, or not, I will say not maximum, but I will say certainly a lot of violence has taken place and can take place in the name of religion. Because unscrupulous elements who have their own agenda, who are after properties, who are after money and power, they will utilize religion for as a motivator to earn their power and money and prosperity. Is it not? The partition of India is a testimony for this. There was some set of people who wanted independent sovereignty of a state, and they utilized religion to make it happen. So the religion can be used for power. Religion. There's a research which shows that, I just googled and it said that what are the places new couples go to, and amongst the top places they go to among cafes and cinemas, top places is temples where they go to first time together. क्यों? हाँ, क्यों? क्योंकि हाँ, interesting. Yeah, because trust factor. Yeah, I'm spiritual, I go to temples. Oh, you must be good. Yeah. This boy or this girl must be good because they go to temple. चलो हम भी मंदिर चलते हैं. Right? And then the front cover of spirituality and religion and God is used for whatever. Basically, you can use it in any way. Yeah. So therefore, Narad Muni is cautioning Vyasa that लोगों से बच के रहना भी, कलयुग के लोग हैं तुम क्या अच्छे इंटेंशन से उनको ग्रेजुअली एलिवेट करने के लिए दे रहे हो, धर्म अर्थ काम मोक्ष प्रेम धीरे धीरे आएंगे। ये तो ऐसे चालू आदमी लोग हैं कलयुग के कि वो पहला ही तुम्हारा लेके ही स्पिरिचुअलिटी के नाम पे सब कुछ चुरा के भाग जाएंगे। Yeah. So this is how Narad is kind of giving these principles to Vyasdev, that why he should glorify and primarily highlight the knowledge of God, the glories of God, and keep all knowledge of material growth and everything as very, very subservient to it. And in the outset, in the Bhagavatam, it is said that dharma swanushthita pumsam vishwaksena katha na utpade yadi ratim shrama eva hi kevalam. All your endeavors as per the varnashram, to hell with all of that endeavor. If it is not yielding ratim to Vishwaksena, to the Supreme Lord. So at the outset, Bhagavatam is saying that dharma projita kaitavatra paramo nirmatsaranam sudha. All kick out all the false, misleading and deceptive religion, which in the name of real religion will mislead you and deceive you into goals which are just under the realm of personal selfish self-enjoyment. So yeah, so this is the teachings. And then finally the 22nd verse, very beautiful verse. He's concluding idam hipumsa tapasa shutasya va svistasya suktasya cha buddhi dattayo avichuto artha kavibhi nirupito yaduttama shloka gunanuvarnanam. Learned circles have positively concluded that the infallible purpose of advancement of knowledge, namely austerities, study of Vedas, sacrifice, chanting of hymns, and charity, culminates in the transcendental descriptions of the Lord, who is refined in choice poetry. So essentially, this verse and Prabhupada's purport is saying that all the human faculties, which are manifest in multifarious ways, through arts, through poetry, through science, through literature, through psychology, economics, politics, etc. They're all meant to be used to glorify the Lord. The perfection of all one's faculty, of all one's talent, lies in being instruments in glorifying the Lord. And this is how Narad Muni concludes his, he rests his case of what he wants Vyasdev to do and why he wants him to do so. So he is not a very top-down spiritual master who say that बस ये करो. No, he is giving him reasons and logic why he is asking him to do so. And he's saying, you have got this great blessing of composing. You utilize that talent, ability to glorify the Lord perfectly, and that is something which will satisfy you. And then he starts his case study. Aham puradi the bhave bhavam mune dasyastu kashya chana vedavadinam nirupito balaka eva yoginam sushrushane pragrishi nirvikshatam. O Muni, in the last millennium, I was born as the son of a certain maid servant, engaged in the service of Brahmanas who were following the principles of Vedanta. When they were living together during the 4 months of the rainy season, I was engaged in their personal service. So he is giving his own case study to support his propositions. We will see that in our next discussion. But today, essentially, we saw that how people can misuse religion, and in the name of religion, so many things can happen. And we saw that you will never be a loser if you trade off your material duties for spiritual duties, whereas you are surely being a loser if you trade off your spiritual duties for material duties. And you need to integrate both. Your spiritual duties will actually help energize and empower and direct your spiritual duties. and your spiritual duties solely depend on your endeavor, while material duties partially only depend on your endeavor. The rest is karma, past karma, and destiny. Hmm. So whether you want it or not, distress comes, and so whether you want it or not, happiness will also come.
Mm.
So these are some points we discussed. Any questions, comments, reflections are welcome.
Mm. Like I heard that in the Bhagavatam, in the story where Vasudeva Maharaj is in the prison cell of Kamsa, he's unable to donate cows because he's in prison. So he thinks in his mind, that I want to donate. So I heard, I think Shubhavara's previous class. There's a question in my mind I forgot to ask him. I think I'll ask you. Uh, he said that simply by thinking in Kali Yuga, you achieve the benefits of doing good things. But if you think something negative or bad, it bears no fruit simply by thinking. So, what does it mean practically, and what are the limitations of just thinking about something good and then you know getting rewarded for that?
First of all, this shows that how much estimation, hmm, like what is the estimation of the Lord and the Devatas for, of us.
Hmm.
हमारा हमारे बारे में उनका क्या एस्टिमेशन, कितना बेकार एस्टिमेशन है, सोचो।
Hmm.
ये अच्छा तो सोचने वाले ही नहीं है, बाय डिफॉल्ट तो बुरा ही सोचेंगे। मान लो कभी गलती से अच्छा सोच लिया, उसके लिए इनको रिवॉर्ड कर देंगे।
Hmm.
Which shows that how rare it is to have good thoughts in Kali Yuga. नेतर कुशलानि आशु सिद्ध्यन्ति न इतराणि कृतानि यत् कलिं स्वभाजयन्ति आर्या कुशलसार भागिना कुशलानि आशु सिद्ध्यन्ति न इतराणि कृतानि यत्. That the Arya, the civilized people, they worship this age of Kali, Gunagya, because they know the qualities. That is, Kali Yuga has some good qualities. What are the good qualities? That in this age there is a lot of freebies which have been given. Hmm. So there are a lot of relaxations and freebies which have been promised. What are the freebies? That Kushalani Ashu Siddhanti. You think of something good, even before you do it, आपको उसका results मिलना चालू हो जाता है. It is not that पूरा रिजल्ट मिल जाता है केवल सोचने से. पूरा रिजल्ट जब करोगे तो मिलेगा, बट छोटा स्टार्टिंग इंस्टॉलमेंट मिलना चालू हो जाएगा. न इतरानी कृतानि यत्, but for bad actions, for bad thoughts, or bad things, until you actually perform them, तब तक आपको रिलैक्सेशन दे रखा है. कम से कम किया तो नहीं ना उसने, केवल सोचा ही तो है, रहने दो, छोड़ दो. Whereas in the previous ages, even if you think wrong, you are punished for it. Or you have to actually do something good. Nonetheless, this is on the level of law of karma. But on the personal level, it always affects. If you have vicious thoughts, bad thoughts, it will definitely affect you. And eventually, those bad thoughts are going to yield in bad actions, wrong actions. So we can't just wishfully कि चलो मैं कितना भी ये करता हूँ, फैंटेसाइज करता रहूंगा, रिवेंज फैंटेसी में रहूंगा, मुझे कर्मा नहीं लगेगा. ऐसा नहीं है. Eventually you will fall for wrong actions also. So freebies का फायदा अच्छे के लिए करना चाहिए. इस देखो, अगेन हियर द सेम प्रिंसिपल विच नारद मुनि इज टेलिंग, कि जब कुछ भी तुमने उनको एक भी कुछ यू गिव देम अ स्मॉल लीवे. तो हमें इस वर्ड्स को सुन के क्या लगता है, मैं कुछ भी बुरा करूं, बुरा सोचूं, मुझे उसका कुछ मिलेगा ही नहीं. So you just hold on to that. and not take up कि भाई let me start thinking good. What are we more inclined to do? अरे आप तो बुरा सोचते रहो, इस युग में तो कुछ नहीं मिलना है. So that is what we'll focus on. Rather than being inspired and motivated कि चलो मैं आज से अच्छा सोचना चालू करता हूँ. So he knows what is our psychology, Narad Muni. तो इस तरह की बात है, ऐसा सब बोलो मत है, इन लोगों को ज्यादा फ्री बीज दो मत. फ्री बिजली फ्री पानी ये वही पकड़ के बैठेंगे, कुछ काम ही नहीं करेंगे, सब गवर्नमेंट से करवाएंगे.
So basically, in practice, you, like this can be a starter for you, but this is just the beginning of the road. You have to reach a destination. This is just to get you started.
Yeah. Yeah, we should. First of all, we should take it on our self-esteem. मुझे इतना बेकार समझा है. मैं अच्छा नहीं सोच सकता, मतलब मैं अच्छा सोच के दिखाऊंगा. यार rather than saying कि चलो अभी बुरा सोच के कोई मेरे को I don't have any reaction for that. Let me keep thinking whatever I want to think. Okay, from the online Janta, is there anything you want to say? Yes, Gopinath. We are not a loser, but a gainer on the path of spirituality. Yes, it is very reassuring and soothing that we'll never miss out, because the fear of missing out is always there. So Krishna is saying, don't worry, you are not missing out on anything. So I was saying that rather than having FOMO, let's have JOSO, joy of standing out. Standing out for something which stands the test of time, which is sustainable, which is everlasting. That joy of spirituality is something which is waiting for all of us, if we just stick to it. Okay, anything else? Please feel free to voice your thoughts.
Dandavat Pranam, Prabhu.
Dandavats, Prabhu.
Yes, Prabhu. I think it's. I think I heard it in a Balram Shakti Prabhu class that it's Vyasa Uchishta Jagat Sarvam Anyatra Nasti. So, what you find in the Bhagavatam, you will not find elsewhere, and what is found elsewhere, you will most certainly find that in the Bhagavatam. So it's always reassuring that even at the mental plane, there is no idea that is worth our time that is not explored of in the spiritual texts. One reflection I had while you were speaking is I came across a video I think some time ago by Swami Tripurari, who's he I think he was the best book distributor at the in the 70s, 80s, 90s. Then something happened, but again, he said there are two types of religion. One is religions for things, and the other religions are ego facing. So religions that are ego facing will always give you spiritual experiences, but religions for things will eventually end up doing just that. So my question to you is, sometimes we find that even in institutions that are focusing on a philosophy that is ego facing, seemingly so, we find especially in the how do I say, ISKCON parampara, the concept of yukta vairagya is such where you tend to mix very closely with billionaires, with people who are, how do I say, materially or intellectually such, who are even your book, I think in one sense, it's that spoonful of sugar of material anecdotes, of mundane stories you need to give them that medicine. So how do you draw the line where you say where you kick out, so to speak, as you said, all the cheating dharmas, and and how do you say, you're, at least for a very immature person seemingly so, I wouldn't say disgust is a strong word, but you're at least dissuaded when you find that uh, eventually when you're preaching something this strong in your activity, if you're in bed with them, how do you make sense of this contradiction? Thank you.
Thank you, Ru, for always brain twisting questions. No, it's important for us to really think deeper, go deeper. So I was thinking about it, and so you had two like parts to your question. One is that there are religions of things, and then there are ego-facing religions. So the ego-facing religions, you said, what do they do?
They can give you genuine spiritual experiences.
Genuine spiritual experiences, and the religion of things will just offer you more prosperity and things like
Yes.
that. Mm. Yeah. So my answer will also be in two part. One is I heard mm, a lecture of S.B. Keshav Swami, and he was saying that he went to Africa and there was a church of uh, prosperity church.
Yeah, that's South Africa. And like he just passed by to just see how things go.
So there's this prosperity church, something like that. The name was, and it was a general mass. People were there, lecture, and then at the end was something everyone was waiting for, where there were people would give testimonies. I surrendered to Jesus, and I was broken-hearted, and I had broken up with my previous ex, and this and that, and I surrendered to Jesus, and I found love. And the other person comes and says, "Oh, I was financially broken, and I surrendered to Jesus, and now I am a millionaire." So this works. So like this, one after other, people come and testify, and the the hinge or pivot for the faith of the people is whether I get what I want. If I get what I want, then it works. So it is it is not very different from the faith people have in you know in, in anything material that works. That okay, Toyota car is good hmm, because it is fuel efficient. It is it doesn't require much maintenance. So we have faith in Toyota, and so similarly, whatever works. So we have faith in Christ also because he works for me. Hmm, right? But then he said, but faith is supposed to be more sublime. Mhm. So he said that if as per the teaching of the Bhagavatam, if we had a church, mm, mm, a prosperity church, so to speak, of the Bhagavatam, there would be people giving testimonials. They said, "Oh well, I had a nice flourishing business, and I came to Krishna, and everything started disintegrating." Hmm. And then I broke financially, and Krishna works. Krishna consciousness works. I believe in Krishna. I love Krishna. Then the next person comes. Okay, I was having fun in my life. Everything was going great. Hmm. My girlfriend was there. This was there. That was there. And I came to Krishna, and then she left me. Hmm. Krishna consciousness works. I love Krishna. So the faith in Krishna consciousness is counterintuitive. Even if it doesn't work for you materially, hmm, your faith will increase because this faith in Krishna consciousness is not dependent on the material results that you procure. Hmm. It is dependent on the genuine spiritual experience that you have. So that is USP or something which Krishna consciousness offers us. That it is from the beginning, the Bhagavatam is saying that don't depend on any material uh, positive material results
Mm.
to connect or invest your faith here.
Mm.
So that is one thing which the Bhagavatam from the beginning encourages us to for a genuine spiritual experience. And if you are here, aim for this, not for anything less. And secondly, you said that how do you decide, because you have like in order to connect to people, we ourselves give them these material tricks and tools and tips based on the Bhagavatam, based on the Ramayana and Mahabharata. So aren't we complicit of having the
How do you not overstep the line?
yeah aren't we guilty of in the name of religion,
Mm.
in the name of religion, the Yukta Vairagya license, the Yukta Vairagya all India permit. Hmm? So the idea is that we are giving this to make a bridge, to bring them on this side of the bridge, not for them to stay on the bridge. That is the first thing. So it also has its merit. So Narad Muni is not wholly and solely just brandishing everything that Vyasdev has done as useless. He's saying that, well, what you have done is okay, but my problem is not you spoke about Dharma, Artha, Kama, Moksha. My problem is you did not sufficiently glorify Krishna Prem. So you could have been, you could have, it's not that you glorified all of them, you were deficient in Krishna Katha. So it is not condemning the bridge. The bridge has its purpose to bring you to the destination. But if you only keep on building the bridge and never bring up about the destination, then you are not leading them anywhere. So yatha dharmadescha munivarya anukipita na tatha vasudevasya. As much you have glorified dharma artha kama moksha, you haven't glorified Krishna. So ब्रिज बड़ा होता है कि शहर बड़ा होता है? शहर बड़ा होता है, वो वहां तक पहुंचने का ब्रिज तो बहुत छोटा होता है. So that is what Narad Muni is telling, and he's cautioning that even if you have to make the bridge, don't make it too fancy, that people will just live on the bridge only forever. They will use it कि हाँ ये bridge ये तो भगवद गीता से ही आया है, so I can stay here. No, you bring them on the other side, and then as a preacher or as a speaker or as a writer, we need to know our strength. जब आप कबड्डी का गेम खेलते हो, so what do? How long do you stay on in the enemy camp? As long as you can hold your breath and say kabaddi, 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 kabaddi. So for a preacher, you can go on the other side as the bridge, and as long as you can say Krishna, 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 and the moment you're losing out your breath or you're losing out your inner purity and purity of purpose, you should know I should run back immediately.
Wow.
Wow.
Very sporty example.
So, and why are you going in the other camp? To bring them here. कि आप जाके जितने लोगों को पकड़ के खींच के इधर लेके आओ तो आपका वो कबड्डी 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 सफल हो गया.
Even Vyasa he used the Vyasa principle to spread Krishna can to spread spiritual teachings amongst ordinary people. But I think because he contemplated and received guidance.
So Bhagavad Gita, if it were just a text, philosophical text on itself, with no background, I don't know how many people would be interested in reading it. अभी अगर आपको केवल हम ईशोपनिषद दे दें, ईशोपनिषद पता भी नहीं किसने लिखी है, किसने बोली है. It has profound principles, but context ही पता ही नहीं है, क्या क्या ही पढ़ोगे.
Bhagavad Gita is the first chapter.
भगवद गीता का वो एसेंस देने के लिए महाभारत इतनी बड़ी लिखी ताकि बीच में ये मेडिसिन चली जाए. So therefore there was a reason why Vyasdev did it. Yes, Gopinath, does it make sense?
Yes, Prabhu. I'm being called to sing Damodar Ashtakam with my family. If you permit, I'll just leave. Thank you.
Thank you, Prabhu. Sing for us also. Hare Krishna. Hare Krishna. Thank you. Thank you, Gopi. Thank you.
Thank you, Prabhu. Thank you very much.
We'll close it. Hare Krishna. Srimad Bhagavatam ki jai. Shri Prabhupada ki jai.